Have you ever heard stories of farmers, big broiler poultry farmers that have birds in their, say, 10,000 or maybe minimum of 1,000? Have you ever heard their stories when they tell you that they started with, say, 25 or 50 or maybe, say, 100 broilers and then gradually grew it to raising bigger number of birds? Have you ever wondered what they did differently? Okay, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the proven steps that farmers use to go from raising small birds to raising large number. You can call it scaling up. You understand? That's what you're going to be learning in this video. But before we proceed, you need to know the why. What I mean by why is why do many poultry farmers at first start small? Starting small, you need to know, is not weakness. Okay, it is, number one, it is strategic. It is strategic. Why is it strategic? It's strategic get many children. Okay, let's start it from like this. It lowers the risk. You understand? Low risk. Why is it low risk? It's just self-explanatory. Let's assume that you started with 25 birds and maybe something goes wrong and all the 25 dies, and then someone else started with 250 or 500 birds and something goes wrong and the 500 dies. Who do you think made more loss? Who do you think is at more risk? You understand? You starting with 25, you starting small, you're already on the ground. He who is on the ground needs to fear no fall. Okay, it's just basic. It's just basic. But starting small, you know, is strategic. Another reason is that it is less stressful. The stress in raising broilers, large number of broilers, at times, if you start it, maybe say your first time, you might give up. But starting small, you see the business grow, and when it's growing, this stress, you won't put it will be a motivating factor for you. So starting small, the strategy, being strategic, it is less stressful, and also it is a perfect learning curve. Okay, it's a perfect learning curve because from starting small, you get to learn a lot of things that you can use the knowledge to avoid a lot of mistakes that you might make in the future. But when you've already started small and you've done it for quite some time, you've learned some things, you've lowered your risk for a lot of time, there comes a time that you decide, oh man, it's time to shift. So farmers who successfully scale usually change three things, which means whenever you are ready to now start increasing your flock stocking capacity, there are three things that you must change. The changes you must make when you are ready. Number one, what those successful farmers do is that, number one, they improve the chicks that they source. Okay, they are sourcing. They try their possible best to avoid bad batch of birds by sourcing right. Now listen, I don't know where you're watching this from. I'm a Nigerian, and we don't usually prioritize standard. For instance, we have hatcheries. Okay, our hatcheries today, you might hear that this hatchery is the best hatchery in Nigeria today, and then maybe one time, or it gets to a particular month, that hatchery will bring out the worst bird that farmers have ever seen in their life. Birds that maybe will be begging these birds to eat, birds that don't have uniformity at the end of the day, and at the end the farmer will be the person to bear the loss. Okay, so in sourcing, due to you've passed through a learning curve by starting small, you must have learned a lot of things. You must have raised many birds from different hatcheries and known which one is performing well. You must have known hatcheries that do perform very badly at a certain point, at a certain month. For instance, we have reputable hatcheries in Nigeria. Some of them in July, August, they bring out the worst batch. People who have already are experienced in the poultry farming know when to avoid these hatcheries, and they know when to come back to those hatcheries. And also we'll talk about okay, let me write the hatchery sheet. Okay, breeds. We have different breeds of broilers. I don't know where you're watching from, but over here we have three major breeds: the Cob, the Ross, the Aboeka. The Ross, after brooding them, maybe say from their 4th week, they can stay in a cold environment and they will feel comfortable. But when exposed to heat, maybe say during that heat stress period, they die easily. But the Cob, they can be able to withstand this heat. Not that they won't die, the curve will still die, but not as the roast. So starting that small and passing through that learning curve must have taught you something. So now you are ready to scale up. You know when and what to do about sourcing your birds. The second thing that the change that you need to make when you start increasing your stocking capacity is around your feed. Here we'll talk about you know how to avoid feed wastage, because that starting small have taught you a lot. You've learned how to avoid feed wastage, and that thing is you must have learned how to what's it called, calculate the ration for the birds. Is part of the learning curve that you pass through. Okay. The third thing that you must change is around the health of the birds. And when I talk about the health, we'll bring up biosecurity. As a new broiler poultry farmer who started small, you are allowed to make a lot of mistakes, because from those mistakes you learn. Okay. In this biosecurity, you notice many new poultry farmers, especially the ones that start small, allow their friends to come visit them and see their birds, and you understand, and all these things are exposing these birds to risk, which when you have started increasing your flock capacity, make sure that you obey strict biosecurity for the health purpose of your birds. And that thing is prevention. You know how to prevent health issues. That's where you say you start giving them preventive care. This preventive care can come in form of medications. At a time, you give them preventive antibiotics to avoid bacterial infections. If you are in a coccidia environment, you give them preventive anti-coccidiosis medication. If there are viral infections around your premises, then there should be vaccines available for you to be able to give them preventive vaccinations. Okay, that's centered around the health. But now, this changing where you source birds from, knowing, understanding feed efficiency and health of the birds. The next is now the step-by-step action plan that you should do to make this work. Okay, number one step by step, the step-by-step action plan, or let's call it route, that you can take to make this scaling up work is: number one, you need to reinvest. You need to have this reinvestment strategy. You reinvest your profits, not all. Okay, we normally have how we do things. Number one, you pay yourself, or you pay who is working for you. Or if you are doing the thing yourself and you are willing to take the sacrifice, you might not pay yourself, but also, as in what should I call it? Call it salary. The next one is a emergency fund. Okay, it's normally called miscellaneous. It cannot enter here. Let's just complete it here. You keep miscellaneous fund. Then the third one is every other thing remaining, you reinvest it back into the business. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. You need to just have this reinvestment mindset. If there are people who should receive salary from the small that you raised, bring out their money, pay them salary. Okay, you should also have a little emergency fund by the side in case something goes wrong that you can use. Something can go wrong, like maybe your drinkers spoil, you need to replace them. It's an emergency fund that you're going to be using. The birds get sick, you need to buy medications that were not part of the budget. Is still part of the emergency fund. But every other thing left, don't squander it. Okay, resist that urge of spending them. Reinvest everything, because you have a goal. You are trying to increase the number of birds you raise. The second step to this is you bulk purchase. Buying things in bulk helps you to lock down price. Okay, you lock down price. You know, prices are always going up. Today you might buy feed, say 5. I don't know the currency you're using. Let me assume you are in Nigeria. You might buy a bag of feed 5 naira, and then when you go back 2 weeks later to buy that same bag of feed, you'll be hearing that the feed have increased to 5.5 naira. Okay, or maybe it have gone up to 7 naira. Now imagine that since you pass through the learning curve, you know ration, how many bags of feed those birds need to consume, and you bulk buy everything at once at this rate. Even if the feed, like, let it increase to 7, it will not affect you, because you've already locked down the price. And also another advantage of bulk purchase means that you have to transport things to the farm once. When you buy everything, you transport them once, so you don't spend money on almost daily transportation of materials to and fro from the farm. Okay, another step, the third step is you should maximize space. Okay, let me write this: maximize the space you have available before you consider building a new poultry house. Assuming at first you built a poultry house that could house say 500 birds, but due to it started small, it started with 50, you keep using this pen house, until it reaches a time that you start raising up to 500. Now anytime you are ready now to increase your flock to say 550 or 60, that's when you should consider either renovating this pen house by expansion or constructing a new pen house. But never you attempt to construct a new pen house when you know that you've not maximized this space that you already have available. And then the next step to scale, the next step to use as a route to increase your stocking capacity is that don't double the birds at a go. Okay, increase the flock size gradually. How will I put it? Increase gradually. There are many reasons for this, okay, because it's still a learning curve. You started from 50, you've learned a lot, you've moved over to 500. You are now adapting to the stress of raising a higher number of birds. Don't just jump because you have the money, you jump over to 1000 at once. No, keep moving, increasing your stocking capacity gradually. That's how most of these guys do it. And then there are common mistakes. Okay, everything comes with its own mistakes. No matter what you do, mistakes follow everything. But most mistakes, why it's called mistakes, mean that you can remove the miss and take the takes. There are avoidables. Okay, increasing your flocking capacity is not just all about buying more birds. There are mistakes with overcrowding. When you buy more birds, you need to make room for those more birds, because if you overcrowd, you expose the birds to stress. This stress can come in form of heat. It can, in fact, if there is disease outbreak, it can spread faster in an overcrowded pen house. So when you are increasing gradually, make sure you maximize the space you have before you build a new space. Okay, but make sure that you don't overcrowd, because overcrowding is a big mistake. It can lead to stress and disease outbreak. Another thing that can mistake that many people make is the basic one is let's just say a bigger flock needs an upgrade. What I mean by upgrade is maybe you are raising 50 birds and you had like say how many drinkers enough for 50 birds. If you start increasing your flocking capacity to say 100, 150, 200, those drinkers will not be enough for them. So there is need for upgrade. If you don't upgrade, it will affect the birds' growth and development. And then finally, the increasing your stocking capacity, there is reward to it. I think I should just write the reward here instead of opening a new slide. Okay, the rewards is bigger profit. Bigger profit is enough reward, because the essence of business is to make more money. But in closing, I just want to encourage you that all these big farms that you are seeing today, they actually started from somewhere. Most of them started small. The difference is just how they managed the growth. That's just the difference. Are you about to start your own poultry farm, or you are a poultry farmer but you are still small according to you? Do you have intentions of growing big later? Feel free to share with us in the comment section. And if you are still passing through the learning curve in raising small number of birds and you need help and guidance once it has to do with broilers, there is a course known as the Broiler video course that I organize. The link is in the description of this video. You can always just go to the description of the video, click the link, access the course and enroll for yourself. That's it for this video. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section. And if you are seeing our video for the very first time, I assure you need to see our video again, so make sure you do subscribe to the channel. That's it for now, guys. See you later.